right, guys, we're back here on the bonus round with Pachter, Rubin, and Blackley to talk about the next gen of consoles. So we talked about Microsoft, we talked about Sony. Let's talk about the developer, the creators. You mentioned at the beginning, James. It really is about the games, the experiences that get us excited. So if I'm a developer right now in a great studio that is not necessarily a first-party studio, where do I want to make games? Is it Xbox? Is it PlayStation? Is it every system? Is it tablets? How do people think about it, Jason?
Well, I think if you're a AAA studio and you've had large AAA successes, you're going to stick with what you know because there's a handful of these companies on the planet. There's been less every year. That was something else that was said 7 years ago, that the number of AAA studios was going to decline. It has declined significantly. Someone threw out a number recently. There are 25 that matter. I don't know that it's 25, 35, but there aren't a lot of AAA studios that matter out there. So you are going to make games where the gamer will be to play AAA games, and right now that's console and PC. There's no question about that. They are not going to be making games for tablet. What will happen is a lot of the older teams that have fragmented, and new teams will start making console-style games for tablet. And maybe in 5-6 years it'll be interesting to those AAA developers to step down on the tablet. But for a while, they're going to continue to make games where it matters. 29 million units of Grand Theft Auto says that that's the place you want to be, right? $1 billion of Call of Duty in, 24 hours or whatever, I don't know the exact stat, but certainly quick. That's the place they want to be. Those teams aren't going anywhere. Those teams are going to stay where they are.
Well, Jason, you're a very business-driven developer, and you always were, and it brought you a lot of success. But there are a lot of developers who don't think that way. There are a lot of developers to whom the audience they're talking to matters, more than even the profitability. And I think that the explosion in creativity around indie games shows that there are a lot of people to whom that's the most important thing. And a lot of times, they're terrible business decisions, and these guys go out of business, and a lot of ramen gets sold and eaten. But the explosion in platforms means also an explosion in ways to interface with the audience. And there are people who have game ideas that would never get made on console, whole genres that never would have existed on console, and ways of interacting with fans that never would have existed on console. And it's not just because of tablets. I mean, you look at what Valve is doing with their experimentation around open betas, around Greenlight, et cetera. And it fits and starts, but it's really cool to watch and to see what that kind of stuff brings up. Okay, the problem inherent in all of this, goes back to my ramen comment, which is that at some point, if you're running a company and you want to keep on making games, you have to be Jason Rubin. You have to be smart about business. And so the question really is, which of these ecosystems is going to find the best balance between the creative concerns and the business concerns. And weirdly enough, and ironically, Sony, in the world where there was just console business, really, Sony was the place where there was this incredible balance between business and creative freedom. And a lot of really great developers, including Jason, were sort of formed there and got a tremendous opportunity to build great things and be very creative there. And that's expanded now. And that's really an important subtext to this whole discussion, which is not only which, on just a pure grinding business basis, which of these platforms is going to move the most units and have the biggest revenue numbers in software, but who's going to present that to the people who make the software in such a way that they get the most of the stars.
Since I know this gets you guys going, you're both right, and I'm not going to say you're both wrong. Raph Koster was here when we were on break, and he was on a panel with me, and he actually observed this, so I want to give credit where credit's due. But he said, in this mobile tablet world, you can get 6 guys together in a room, and they can make a game in 3 to 6 months that's a really good quality game. And these guys need, $3,000 a month each to, pay their rent and eat ramen. And he goes, so how much money do you actually need? You need $120,000 and you can make a game. And if they can make $120,000, $121,000, they're running victory laps because now we can make another one. And so I think, and you said this earlier also off camera, the opportunity in mobile tablet dwarfs the opportunity in console. It's just that there are going to be far fewer winners, but many, many, many more participants.
When I answered the question, I was not answering
you said
from a
AAA.
business
You said
standpoint.
AAA too.
But I want to be clear. If you're a AAA developer, you are continuing to make AAA games not because it's the most profitable place to be, but because not only what you know, but
if you're a AAA developer, you are so envious of those guys who
That's
don't have to
absolutely
make their
not true.
$1 million a month
The only
nut.
way to express yourself, I know this as a AAA developer, the only way to express yourself and make the games you want to make
You were a
is to
quadruple A developer.
continue to work on AAA titles.
Yeah.
They do not want to make games that aren't AAA of quality,
right.
because that is their
You're
vision.
not awake at
And
night
if you're
imagining guys on little platforms on a touchscreen.
if you're a
awake at night
AAA
imagining
developer,
something
I would
big.
add, a lot of these guys now are internal. They're working on salary.
Yeah.
They make bonus. That is not the place to make money, but they will still, because of their love of AAA games, they will stay there.
So-
to make the big bucks, you want Angry Birds, you want Clash of Clans. The odds are not with you, but if you want a chance to be a billionaire, literally, you're making mobile social games.
So when I said you're both right, where I was going with that is, of course, there's going to be the console
We won't be
AAA
told we're
experience.
right.
No, you are right. The console experience at one end. There's the whatever you want to call it, mobile tablet, smaller team, smaller budget experience at the other end. They're going to come together. And you said this in the earlier episode that CPU, GPU combos on tablets are going to get more powerful. The experience is going to get better. It's going to take years to morph that way, and you're going to have the gamer indifferent as to what he plays and where he plays. I
As the
totally believe that.
CPU-GPU combination gets better on those, and the resolution goes up, the cost of development goes up.
Sure,
As the
and that's why I
audience
said
expectation
that,
goes
that
up. So that modifies the environment as well.
So that $120,000 budget game becomes a $2 million budget game in a year or two, and becomes a $10 million budget game. It'll reach a practical maximum.
But that's a really complicated.
But it'll
business
be a
situation
blend
as well,
of all
because,
that.
Because right now, okay, the audience, the percentage of the audience you need to garner and get out to in order to make enough money that you make that nut
There's a lot.
is relatively small. If you go to $2 million, suddenly, a bunch of other machinery has to
Understood.
come in, and the situation that caused the rise of electronic arts happens again. Because now you need somebody with capabilities beyond what you have in your development
budget
shop
together,
to
right.
make that economy work.
There's plenty of talent out there that
Oh, yeah.
not making AAA games anymore, that is ready to go on these. Right now, we're in a black and white world. We're either AAA or we're making small games. There really isn't that much in between. There is an in between, but it's very small.
Yeah.
As the tablets get stronger and mobile gets stronger, what you'll find is
This is
you-
why I work great today.
you can make the games that AAA gamers want to make. You can express yourself
Right.
as a AAA gamer, but making a game that's PS2, PS3 quality,
Right.
not PS4, Xbox One quality. And that will be a very interesting moment for developers, because some of them will say, I'd rather go out on my own again. I've been working at salary for too long inside this big publisher. I want to take a shot, and I want to do something different. And it's going to be a great moment for developers.
And by the way, now it's easier to do that than it ever has been before.
Absolutely.
Right?
That I
You know?
cannot. Absolutely. It is easier to become a game developer than it ever has been, because you could do it from anywhere on the planet, publishing without asking anyone's permission through iOS or however you're going to get it to the market. And there are tools to help you that weren't there when I started. It's absolutely easier to get started. And the money is there at the very low end, making very small games, that the next thing you know, you're one of the bigger game companies out there. There's never been a better time to be a developer.
All right, guys, hold that thought. We're going to be right back here on the bonus round.